4 days to the 2023 general elections, and a whole lot is happening across the country, and it's our duty and our responsibilities to ensure that we keep you up to speed with all the happenings in the build up to the 2023 elections. And then also we have a responsibility to give you in-depth analysis, bringing forth analysts that has the capacity to do that, just to ensure you're on the same page, you are aware, you are well informed in making your decision and your choices as far as the election is concerned. The 2023 general elections is not just about the presidential election or the governorship election. We also have the senatorial elections as well as the House of Representative election, which combine to make the National Assembly election. So it's a gamut of elections this beautiful year 2023, and I hope you are ready. My name is Sonny Duke Okosun. My colleague is here, Philip Omogukman. Philip, good to see you.
Good morning, Sonny Duke. Good morning, viewers.
Yeah.
Great to be here.
Okay, now, a whole lot of talking points, as is always the case, in an election year, from the political parties, from the candidates, from the institutions of government saddled with responsibilities of conducting the election, and then even from the electorate. Yesterday, I had a conversation with the Osak Balao here that, look, today, the electorates are the king makers because they are the ones who that are going to decide the fate of all the candidates, from the State House of Assembly through the governorship, through the National Assembly, and then to the presidential election. But in a sense, there seems to be this unanimous disposition towards the presidential election. Do you have an inkling why that is so?
Well, looking at what we have before us, there are a lot of issues that we could be considering as posing as influencing factors, or that could also determine how the election is going to pan out. Like you said, the electorate are the kingmakers, and it's expected that they churn out the right decisions in the choices that they are making in the forthcoming election, which is just barely 4 days from now.
Yeah.
But if you look at the political space, you look at what is happening, basically you look at the issues that could influence their decisions in the area of regionalism and ethnicity. That could also be another challenge, because if you look at among the 18 presidential candidates, we have 4 who are really on front line, and those 4 presidential candidates are from 3 dominant ethnic groups in the country. You're talking about the Hausa, Fulani, the Yoruba, and of course the Igbo. And so if you see the spread, a lot of choices will be made in the line of ethnicity, in the line of regionalism. And if we look at the unwritten convention of since 1999 elections, there's been this unwritten convention that presidential powers should rotate between the south and the northern parts of the country. And if we consider that as a factor, and we saw what happened, when the G5 governors, had to split from PDP, and they also considered that. That again is also posing another influencing factor, where a lot of persons will make their choices based on where the governor, the president, or the presidential candidate is from. Like the southern presidential candidate in the person of Peter Obi, and of course Tinubu Ahmed, who is the presidential candidate of the APC, and Peter Obi, that of Labour. That again would also be considered. I see that as a factor that could also determine the election, because some persons will believe that, well, being that this is a southern presidential candidate, it would be better off, based on the unwritten convention of the attitudes or the presidential powers to rotate between the south and the north. They will want to decide to give their votes to the southern presidential candidate. So again, we have the challenge where the northern presidential candidate in the presence of Kwankwaso and Atiku Abubakar could also count. If we take historic retrospection back to the time when Abubakar Tafawa Balewa, was the prime minister of the country in 1960, that could be seen as the only time the Northeast was able to produce someone that could represent them in governance. And they are seeing that personality in Atiku Abubakar. So that again is going to count. And we can't forget the voting numbers, because we look at the INEC compilation, recent compilation of the voter distribution summary. And again, you will say that the G5 governors that had to split from PDP, their figures in terms of the people they influenced could also count. Because we have in Rivers State, we have about 3.5 million voters that could emanate from that, according to the compilation by INEC.
Yeah, I don't think the G5 governors, they've outrightly split from the PDP. They're just there in the PDP. There is no record that they've left the PDP. No,
they've not.
Outrightly,
they've not. But they are not with the presidential
candidates of the party.
Yes, they made that known.
Very, very well.
But again, can we say that these G5 governors are still complete in terms of the number? Because gradually they could be thinning to G2.
Yeah.
Because
as
they seem to be having different
you know, the way it is such that as the
direction.
election gets closer, I mean, you know, interestingly, things can actually turn around 24 hours to an election. So as we gradually move towards the election proper, things are happening. Yesterday, the news broke out that one of the presidential candidates has, not the presidential candidate, one of the political parties endorsed another presidential candidate, saying that they feel the presidential candidate represents their interest. So, you know, the presidential candidate of that party has come out to say, look, I ain't stepping down for no one. I'm still the authentic presidential candidate of my party. So all of these, you know, they're going to be on as we get closer to the election proper. And that's why I said a lot happens 24 hours before an election. And all of that is already playing out. So this week is going to be, a lot is going to happen this week in terms of engagement, in terms of concessions, in terms of interactions, in terms of wooing. Because this is just the last lap of the race in terms of the week. I mean, we know that all campaigns will end 12 midnight Thursday, and whatever you have to do must end 12 midnight Thursday. At the moment, there are just speculations in the media on the positioning of the G5 governors. I mean, I saw a video where Nyesom Wike received the APC presidential candidate, and he expressed his mind over certain issues that are going on in the country. The Naira swap deal, the fuel scarcity, petrol scarcity, and all of that. The same Wike remains in PDP. Unfortunately, the same Wike didn't have the opportunity to receive the presidential candidate of his own party. Talking about Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, the proposed rally in that state didn't hold because of the interest that is here and there. So it's a very dicey moment. In Benue State, we have been told that the governor of Benue State, Samuel Ortom, is singing a different tune. We don't know how true that is. And then in Oyo State, Seyi Makinde, we have been told he's singing a different tune. We don't know how. So that's why I said a whole lot is going to happen this week. It's already started.
Of course, yes.
So we just keep our fingers crossed and see how that plays out.
If we have to take back, look back at what the INEC voter distribution summary spoke about, made clear on the numbers that could determine how the election is going to turn out. We have Rivers State that is towing about 3.5 million votes.
Yeah.
And if you look at the activities surrounding the governor of Rivers State, Nyesom Wike, he's churning out about 200,000 political aids. You know, that could again bring some ripples, and other governors are also trying to do same.
Yeah.
And looking at that, the stomach infrastructure thing could play out to influence the numbers in the election.
Absolutely.
So we can't take that out.
Absolutely.
You made mention of Seyi Makinde.
Yes.
Seyi Makinde happens, or your state, for instance, happens to be the 6th in position when we look at the voter distribution summary by INEC recently. And again, he has loyalists. And if we are to look at the number, you know, voting numbers in Oyo State having about 3.2 million votes, that again could count as another influencing
We'll
factor.
take a short break because today on the show, we're going to be talking about issues and factors that will influence electorate choices in the election. We'll take a short break and then we'll be back to talk more. We'll also be updating you with some of the stories that are trending on Nigeria Decides. Welcome to the show. We'll be back with you after this commercial break. Stay tuned. Once again, we thank you for rejoining us on the Nigerian Decides studios of Independent Television as part of our countdown to the 2023 general elections bid for Saturday, 25th February and 11th of March. Well, the one for Saturday is just around the corner, 4 days away, and preparations are in top gear. A whole lot of stories are popping up, and we just have to ensure we help you make sense of those stories. I just saw a story now that talks about the number of polling agents from the 4 major political parties as recognized by INEC and also released by INEC. We're going to be talking about that much later also in the course of the program. And we mentioned earlier about one of the political parties that has also endorsed another presidential candidate, but the presidential candidate of that political party is insisting he remains the authentic candidate, presidential candidate of that party. Well, a certain political leader that recently moved from one party to another was made to oversee a certain region supervising the election, and the ruling party has come out against that political leader, that lady. We'll also keep you up to speed with that particular information. So a whole lot is happening in the build up to the 2023 election. We're bringing all of them to you here on Nigeria Decides live studio of Independent Television. And big time right away and right now. So we were talking about factors influencing this election. You talked about the spread of the voters,
yes,
state by state, and those analyses were quite apt, especially, analysis when they are done with data, it brings the issue home. River State is very, very key in the South because of the population and then the voting population, as a matter of fact. And I know that to a large extent, the leadership of the state has over the years been able to mobilize adequately. When Governor Wike came out with the structure of over 200,000 senior special assistant, that was mind-blowing because you could easily see that this was an idea orchestrated for a particular achievement. As we speak at the moment, no one knows exactly where Wike is because he hasn't come out to declare openly for any particular candidate, and he still remains a bona fide member of the PDP. So the over 3 million votes that you're talking about, we don't know where those votes are.
We don't know how he's going to
handle it. Yeah. But again, if you say we don't know how he is going to handle it, it looks as if maybe those votes are at his disposal. He gives to whoever he feels. I mean, the people are the ones who are going to make these choices, right?
Yes.
And these people, they also need to be mobilized.
Yeah, but you can't take away the fact that he has an influence, on most of them.
Yeah.
And being the governor of the state, he has done a lot to the minds of many, in terms of infrastructural developments and in terms of key issues that he's been able to raise, that he is counting in the political space.
Yeah.
And yes, on Wike, he is seen as a strong man of PDP. And he makes it clear.
Yeah.
But here again, we look at how he's going to make that happen, because you look at the 3.5 million votes coming. Nyesom Wike is someone who has his eye on the ball, and he is not given any chances.
Yeah.
He's not given any opportunities to make him a less a man that he is in making sure that those numbers count.
Yeah.
But again, it is up to the people. It's one thing for you to appoint special advisors or assistants, and you expect them to toe a certain decision.
Of course.
It's another for them to really toe that decision,
Yeah,
or that idea that you are trying to pass across to them.
Yes.
Because it's up to them to either take it or...
Yeah, no, it's not either, they cannot take it or leave it. They must take it.
They must take
because you talked about influence.
Well,
These are people that are under his influence. And by virtue of the fact that politics is money and money is politics within the context of Nigeria, you would expect that they would toe his line, because by appointing these people, he already knows that they already know what this appointment is for.
Okay.
It's for political gains.
Okay.
And before you get that kind of appointment, you must be, you must show that you are worthy in character, you're worthy in learning, you're worthy in substance,
okay,
you're worthy in political affiliation to be given such a task and responsibility.
Okay, but if we have to look at it,
yes,
and we look at the aspect of the political aids, for instance, basically we could say that a huge number of that could toe in line with his own idea,
yeah,
and do exactly what he expects.
Yes.
But again, the influencing ability of these political aids on the electorate,
yes,
is quite minimal.
It's a different thing
entirely. It's a different thing entirely.
Yes, yes.
Because if we look at what will also influence it, this issue of money which plays in politics,
yeah,
is also a big factor. And you can understand that the present polity we have, the challenge we are faced with, the cash crunch, the crisis we are faced with, Nigerians aren't smiling. But again, we don't know what's going to happen, because there's still this unknown factor that could play out as the election gets closer, or on the election day.
Yeah.
The religious people call it an act of God, but the military calls it the tug of war, or fog of war. But again, anything could happen in this direction, because the present challenge facing the Nigerians in terms of the cash crunch is what we can wish away. It's what we can really take away. Look at the decisions taken by El-Rufai, the governor of Kaduna State, in that direction, in line with the people that are also being faced with this challenge.
Yeah.
What is the possibility that when the election comes, on the election day, what is the guarantee that vote buying won't also take place?
Okay.
Looking at the present challenge of cash crunch facing the electorate.
Yeah, I think the current policy of Naira swap is a big blow to this hydra-headed monster of vote buying that has continued to undermine our political process, undermine in such a way that the right candidates don't emerge. It is the one that has the deeper pocket, or the deepest pocket, that emerges. With this Naira swap policy, those who are complaining, to a large extent, they're complaining because of the fact that access to funds to drive the political process is not there.
Available.
INEC is saying that on Saturday, Nigerians will vote, and they will vote without the influence of money. There's a reason why that statement is being made.
Yes.
Because of what has happened. I mean, we just heard Mr. President a few days ago saying that the only old currency that is accepted is 200 Naira for just 60 days, all right? And if you look at the time that broadcast was made and the day of the election, few days. So how much time do those who want to amass money have to be able to amass? And in any case, and in any case, 200 Naira is a lower denomination. For you to part that with somebody, you need to amass a large quantity to make 5,000, to make 10,000. And that is certainly a Herculean task.
You are quite right. You are quite right. If we look at it, if we extract that, to some extent we can say that that could minimize vote buying. But does that eradicate the menace?
You cannot.
If you ask me, I will tell you no.
You can't eradicate it, because you can't eradicate it.
Where Nigerians are asking, Nigerians are asking the question: where are the new currency notes?
Yeah.
Where are the new Naira notes?
Yeah.
If 400 billion were really churned out and they are not in circulation, it means that a huge chunk of these monies could be kept somewhere.
Yeah.
And I can assure you, I'll tell you freely, but you can thank me later, that on election day, you're going to see these notes.
All right, so we'll keep our fingers crossed. We'll take a short break, and then we'll be back to talk more on the show.